T, I think this really should be our next campaign. What do you say?
Twist my arm.
Because we were looking for something just like this. I want to play the new campaign. T, can we start playing now?
That's up to you, bud.
Look at this, Dennis. You are carving our content as we speak. Welcome back to 4 Geeks by Geeks, the place where geeks come to geek out. As always, I am Big Head Boser.
And I'm just T.
Let's shrink ourselves down a little bit. There we go.
There we go. That seems less awkward.
Yeah. I'm going to turn around even, so I'm facing you.
I'm going to be honest, I 100% thought you were just going to swivel in your chair.
Honestly, if it was easier to swivel, you don't know the mess of cords and blankets and just shit I have around my chair.
I have a rough idea because I'm fairly confident it's similar to mine.
Yeah, you can't tell by this blank wall. I give the appearance I'm clean, but I'm not. Alex says my mic sounds a little funny, so apologies.
It's definitely not correct.
It's what?
It's definitely not correct.
I don't know. It started funny at the start. When during pre-stream, our great guest Dennis was a real pal and let me know that I sound like crap. He didn't say that.
It sounds like you got an extra pop filter on almost.
Really? Let's see. Let's just look at the settings.
Like if I had to guess, maybe in-game pop filter on top of already pop filter that you may already have on physical.
It's a little study. Did that change anything?
That made you stutter out. What?
Good God.
Now it sounds like you're underwater. Remember that one time we were like, hey, we should really make technical difficulties merch. It would sell so well. It's so part of our community. Like, no. I hate all of that. It's not on brand, and it's still the brand to this date and will never change.
Command merch for technical difficulties merch.
Do we have fourth wall up and running?
It's up. It's up. It's not running anywhere.
Does that mean files have not been uploaded still?
But don't use the word still, because that sounds like a mean word.
Like 6 weeks up and running.
But look, it's a command, so that's cool.
See, we love tech difficulty merch. Churney just got here and they already know what's up.
Great. And because we are so much on technical difficulties, it's not even available yet. So there you go. Do you like my little updates? Do you notice my slight updates to the
fancy
outside?
Geek Out Sesh, updated color to the border?
Yeah.
Actual updated ticker.
I update that every time.
Do you?
But that's not part of the video. That's just part of the Geek Out
Those are
Sesh.
the only two things I can see. Am I missing one?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, cool. I was like, hold on. Now I'm slowly scanning. Like, what could be have changed?
Nope, that's it. But for some reason, the last time I did the regular banner, I was like, you know what? I don't want that to look like that. I want to say Geek Out Sesh, and I don't want it to hit the neon anymore. So today,
Yeah, that's fair. I can't say
we can do small things.
Only periodically, because if we do too many small things, we get overwhelmed or they don't happen.
Exactly.
I.e. posting constantly on social media.
Yeah, take breaks, guys. If you need it, take a break.
The longer, the better.
Thanks for being here tonight. We got Alec in the chat. We've got Churney Adventures in the chat. We love to see the friends of our geek guests show up. Churney says, is it fancy teal for Sagas? Yeah, exactly. I can't say that I wasn't influenced because I was doing some things and I really liked the teal, and it just so happens to match.
Teal's a great color.
And yeah, it's in the logo a little bit. It's got, yeah, we have a lot of colors in our logo anyway. But if this is your first Geek Out Sesh, welcome. We do this each and every Monday night at 8:30 Eastern Standard here live on Twitch. So if you're watching back on YouTube or listening back on podcast, I encourage you, stop by, join the chat one time, and you can be part of the conversation just like these amazing humans that are joining us tonight.
Well, preferably more than one time. Consistently would be fantastic, but
you know, take breaks.
You got to speak it into existence.
Be here every fucking time or you're dead to me.
We may not be, but we do expect you to be here every time, ready and waiting.
My favorite is when I forget to let people know I canceled a Geek Out Sesh, and
2 hours later,
get, like, notification from a chat, like someone's in the chat.
See, I talk a lot of shit, like I haven't been texting you, like, hey, you want to post for me?
I can take it. I got broad shoulders. I can take your onslaught.
That is definitely not one of your defining features.
I have a heart full of love for you, T.
I don't disagree with that one, but you are not a very broad man.
No, I'm not. But hey, we're going to be talking a lot about TTRPGs and dice rolling. And if you want a nice place to keep your dice home and safe and in love, then consider checking out our affiliate, Minstrel. Ta-da!
Am I upside down? No, I'm right side up.
It is. There's something about the L and the M that sometimes it is upside down when I just flash it and it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But it's fancy. They've engraved it and it's like gold inlay. Minstrel is a Polish company, handcrafted by an individual out there. All of these items are locally sourced leather, locally sourced wood, handcrafted, and I really like this dice tray because it snaps apart and it can fit into your laptop bag, and then you're ready to go. And they've got really great bags.
I have a bag, but it's awkwardly out of reach, and I don't want to expose myself like that on camera.
Are you wearing pants?
I am wearing pants this time.
Hey, that's a plus. But use the affiliate link. You can use command Minstrel if you're live in the chat, or use the affiliate link below to get something for your dice, because they're not just dice, they're your dice.
You take better care of them, they take better care of you.
That's right.
See, I think that just sparked some ideas for a commercial.
Uh-huh. I saw it. I saw into your mind.
I'm going to forget it the moment we're done streaming, but it is there.
I'm locking it in because my memory is like a trap, as you know.
Good, because I already forgot what I just said, so.
You take care of them, they take care of you.
There's potential there.
But throughout tonight, we're going to have some fun. We're going to get to know Dennis Fleming and the TTRPG rule set that he created called SAGAS, and we're going to get to know that. It sounds really cool, like you can create your favorite characters from any fandom and bring them into your game because it's that versatile a set. And then at the end of the stream, we're actually going to use the rule set to create some characters, like some from fandoms, and use this trait system to do so we can show you how easy it is. And if you haven't already, use command SAGAS, and it'll take you to all of his links, including the free link to his PDF. But I know y'all didn't come here just to hang out with us. Clearly, you came to hear this amazing individual, and I am super curious how this whole thing got started and how it works. T, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
So ready. So y'all, let's hear it in the chat. Throw some flames, throw some claps. Let's give it up for the okayest DM, Dennis Fleming.
Hi, I strive to only be the most mediocre I can.
Damn, you're not even going to give the man the cheers?
Oh, I was moving our things.
That's
Here you go.
wild. There we go. And his flowers.
There's a lot of clicking I got to do over here.
It sounds like a personal issue, not an us issue.
Yeah, it's
cheerfully.
I'm just here. I don't have much to do though. I just have to talk, right? That's what I'm here to do.
Yep, you got to fill 50 minutes.
All right, let's
so take us through your lecture. But Genre Adventures is here for you.
Yes. Hi, Cherney. How's it going?
Dennis, thanks for being here. How you doing tonight?
I am doing so good. I'm actually very, very excited to be here. This is probably my favorite thing to do as a TTRPG content creator, is just talk about all this stuff like on stream. It's so much fun. So I am pumped.
Great, and we are here because we love to talk about it as well as all the other cool things on the internet. So if anybody that doesn't know who you are, give us a little bit breakdown of who you are and what you do as a geek.
All right. Hi, I am Dennis, the OKSDM. I run the OKSDM YouTube channel where I make mistakes running tabletop RPGs so you don't have to. I also created SAGAS, and SAGAS is an acronym for Setting and Genre Agnostic System. And we literally, like, last week funded our Kickstarter to make this game as pretty as possible.
Congrats on the funding.
Thank you. And hi, Vampy. How's it going?
Hi, Vampire Bites. Thanks for showing up. Even though Jack Townsend's not here. Appreciate you being here. So before we really get into the nitty gritty of SAGAS and all of those things, first just give us like a brief outline of what SAGAS is, and then we'll get deep later.
So I'm going to very quickly save this little document quick so I can pull up the actual elevator pitch on my screen and just read it to you, because I've done this so many times I needed to have an actual pitch. So
That's perfect.
SAGAS, Setting and Genre Agnostic System, is a universal math-light TTRPG designed to help easily tell your story in any world. In only 15 minutes, you can teach yourself the rules, build a character, and start playing. You can choose from over 100 features to create your player character, or use the guidelines baked within the rules for quickly making your own unique abilities. SAGAS also promotes helping allies over helping yourself. Using the smooth and fast combat rules, you can describe epic team combos that take down the final boss. It uses a check-based roll-under resolution system. Your character features change the size of the die you roll, and your allies can help by giving you more dice to roll, improving your chances of getting the lowest number possible.
Okay, why am I already in love with this system?
Because he said math
Because
light,
it's
and that's
great.
hard for you.
He knows. He knows. Got me at math light. I stopped listening and started drooling. That's awesome, and I can't wait to hear more about it. But first, I want to know more about you.
Okay, what do you want to know?
Okay. First, what you thinking about? I'm kidding.
What you doing?
When did you first get into TTRPGs?
So, I have two stories for this. The
Tell one.
first time I actually, the first time I actually played a TTRPG was in middle school-ish. It was 4th edition, I believe, and my dad had played it when he was in high school, played Dungeons and Dragons when he was in high school, and wanted me, he was absolutely right, it was absolutely the thing I would love. And so he took me to a local game store, and we played in a Dungeons and Dragons Adventures League game. And if you know what those are, it's basically like official campaigns run by trained dungeon masters that take you through, like, it's 10 tables all running the same one episode of a longer adventure from a module.
Oh, okay.
So I went in there in the middle of like a longer campaign, and I had no idea what the plot was, no idea what was actually going on, but I was so excited. I had my Drow Ranger, or Drow Rogue, and nothing could stop him. Turns out I was wrong. We played a little bit.
Stop him.
So many things can stop him. So we were playing for like 20 minutes-ish, and then combat started. And during the first first round of combat, the big bad for the whole campaign appeared like on the field with a stat block and a character and everything. And I didn't know how to play these things. So I, as the rogue, did what the rogue is supposed to do and jumped out of the shadows and tried to stab her and missed. And immediately on her turn, she turns around and smacks me with a natural 20, and I go straight down to 0. And I fail. Next round, I fail a death save. Next turn after that, I fail a death save. Third turn after that, I fail a death save. And my character was dead. And that was it. And I couldn't do anything. And I'm like, this game is dumb. I hate this. I'm never going to try it again. And, you know, I think that was a reasonable reaction at the time. Because, like, the Dungeon Master wasn't, you know, like, he knew what was happening. And either he felt he was bound by the Adventurers League rules, or he didn't know how to solve it to make me have a good time. And I was a kid. So my reaction was entirely negative. So I didn't play for another 10 or so years. And I completely forgot that Dungeons and Dragons existed. And for good reason. That was like digging at the bottom of my or 4th edition. And I started flipping through it and I'm like, cool, this is a nice story. Wait, hang on, this is a game. You can play this? You can tell your own story? And I continue getting more and more and more excited, and I tried so long to get someone to run this game for me, and no one would. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And I got a bunch of my coworkers together, and we started running. I ran a game for them. None of us had any idea what we're doing. It was abysmal. We literally, if I remember right, we used D20s to roll our stats.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So that's
you started out as gods.
Or bumbling idiots.
It was more bumbling idiots. They were all really, really bad at, you know, everything. And I ran them through like a, you know, free downloadable PDF adventure real quick. And we had a fantastic time. We were doing so badly, but it was so much fun. And ever since then, I've been homebrewing worlds, running games, running campaigns. There has not been a time in the last 10 years for more than a month or two where I wasn't running a long-term campaign of a TTRPG.
I absolutely adore that everybody that runs games only runs games because they want to play said game. And we all know the next hardest thing to getting players to a table is getting somebody to take that role, because it's a lifelong position. Once you sit at the head of that table, you will sit nowhere else.
That's right. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, I was thinking that same thing as soon as you said that. I was like, wow, if that isn't every DM's story. And then you're just convinced that, yeah, no, I love it so much, I'm just going to DM forever, as if you had a choice.
Well, it changes a little bit it changed for me a little bit when I went more into content creation, when I started doing the YouTube channel and started doing actual plays, like streamed games. Then I was able to like join other tables and I got to play games. And it's so different. It's very, very different. And then there was always the occasional, like, you know, I want to try dungeon mastering once every 2 or 3 years from my table. And I'm like, sure, you want to run the campaign? Nah, just one session. Fine.
See, I always tell myself I want to get back to being a player, and I'm good for about 5 sessions. You're like, I have so little control here. I would like my seat back, please.
Yeah, I totally get that too.
We're currently running a Fate Core system campaign, and it's my first time in the GM seat, and I can see his skin crawling sometimes when, like, he doesn't have control or something's just not working out, and I try to help you.
It's a T issue. That's a why I'm in therapy issue.
Shout out to therapy. But fuck that DM when you were a kid.
Right? He was
Like, you had to be
not
the youngest one
good.
at the table.
Yeah, I think I was. I was the second youngest person there because we brought my younger sibling along, but they got set to a different table and had a great time, by the way.
Of course.
I was the only one that had a bad time.
So, but now I'm going to play devil's advocate here just for a moment. So we're talking, what, 15 years ago this experience happened? So
Yeah.
at that point, we're talking, what, 3, maybe 3, 5?
I think it was 4th edition.
Oh, well, 4th edition is shit to begin with. That was your first problem. You tried playing 4th edition.
I didn't know better.
But no, so there's so many catch-22s that exist when you try to do an Adventures League. You could run into somebody that's like, yeah, they don't know how to handle circumstances like that, especially for a young child. Like, I'm going to say that taboo thing that DMs aren't supposed to say, but sometimes you fudge a roll. But then I have played
all the time.
Listen, that's a very taboo topic, but I've also been a part of some adventure leagues where it's quite literally like the most strictest and stringent of and if that's your thing, fantastic. Play how you would enjoy to play. But guess what? A child is not going to play that way. A child wants to be a child's going to go into that setting wanting to be the main character because they don't know any better. They want to roll dice, let themselves be a god for a moment. And as somebody experienced, we all know at this point, you can manage to play around that without inability anybody else's fun in that circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so glad that
I
you
agree.
so far back from that experience. You
I
let it sit
am
for 10
too.
years.
It sat for a very long time, and I am so glad that I was able to rediscover it. I'm glad that the books weren't thrown out in rage.
Right. So then, how do you get from hating everything about it to the point of blocking it from your memory to rediscovering it, finding love, and then thinking, you know what, this needs to change and create Sagas?
So, I picture this. It is January of 2023. The entire space of TTRPG content creation is on fire because of leaks from Wizards of the Coast about their open gaming license. All right? That is the state of mind I was in when I first conceived of doing this.
Fuck you, Wizards.
It was real bad. We were all terrified for like 30 days. But we came out of it, and I continued designing that game. When I started thinking, like many other people during that month started to, what other games are there? I don't feel like playing Dungeons & Dragons anymore because this makes me feel bad. So there was this renaissance that we are still in the middle of, I think, of people leaving Dungeons & Dragons and going and exploring other role-playing games like Call of Cthulhu and Pathfinder and, all the Powered by the Apocalypse games and Fate and everything. There's so many, and almost all of them are really good at what they do. My problem was that I realized that there were so many really cool games, and I'm like, okay, cool. I would love to play like some cosmic horror with Call of Cthulhu, but I also want to try out this cyberpunk thing. That sounds awesome. And I started like getting this list of like games I wanted to try, and I looked at it and I'm like, that's way too fucking long. That's like 30 games. I won't get that done in the next 10 years. And so I started thinking, what if there was a game where I could like learn one rule set, but I'd be able to play in all those different worlds. And before I realized there are games that do this, I started designing my own. And I dove head first into that bottomless pit and haven't looked back. Because like it's just, once I started conceiving of what it would be like to design and publish a game, my wheels started spinning and shifting up the gears and just going faster and faster and faster. So
then what was that process like? So you decide, I need to start this. how does one even begin to create an entire rule set of TTRPG?
That is one of my favorite things to do in general, just in life, is learn new skills. Like, I love like developing skills, learning new things. And it's why I started content creation in the first place. I was 3 years out of college and I was like bored of life at that point because I wasn't learning anything. And so I said, okay, what would I have to learn in order to, you know, start creating, like putting my advice out there for other people to see? And I looked at the list and I was like, okay, cool. I get to learn lighting. I get to learn audio design. I get to learn video editing. It's a very long list of a lot of very difficult things. And I had a great time doing it. And the exact same thing is the case for publishing and designing and publishing my own tabletop role-playing game. I got to learn game design. I got to learn putting together a team. I got to learn marketing. I don't like marketing. I got to learn it though. You know, and so I got to develop all of these skills. That's my personal and pretty selfish reason for starting to develop Sagas. And it still blows me away that like I made this thing. It's the first of its kind that I've made, and people love it. Like they will not stop talking about this thing. They keep playing it, and I'm like, I just did a little thing. It's like 30 to 50 pages. That's all, and you guys love it, and it's amazing to watch other people enjoy something that you created.
I think you just strongly emphasize the difference between like a job and a career, the cliche of once you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And yeah, to like a list of things, to everything that you just had to learn to be capable of doing this. Yeah, individually is a lot of fucking steps. But as you said, now that you're at that end goal, all of that is worth so much more to you because you have this physical product in your hand. And not only is it something that you get to enjoy, but then you now get to watch it exist out on the internet, knowing God knows where that's going to end up, and getting to see everybody else get to enjoy that as well. And then because of where content creation, where it is, where internet is the way it is, not only do you get to hear them talk about it, you get to see them play it and take on their own interpretation, see what type of tales that come up with that. And it's just, it's literally just creating an infinite world inside of infinite worlds endlessly.
It's so much fun. And I loved all the games that I've seen played because I personally have run maybe 40 to 50 sessions of Sagas by this point, and I think I've seen maybe a dozen or more streams without me on them of Sagas being played, and some of the ideas people are coming up with, man, like it's crazy. I saw there was Wanderer's Haven did a one-shot. They were sponsored by HelloFresh, and they did a one-shot using Sagas in a zombie apocalypse, and the goal was food delivery through this zombie apocalypse, and the name of the stream was Hello Flesh. So the puns were everywhere, and I just loved the chaos that they were able to create at that table.
That's fantastic.
That's got to be so rewarding to see basically your child that you birthed and raised going out and living its own life on its own. Like, describe what that feels like.
I would if I could. I mean, like, well, for one, we're not even done. Like, we don't have the physical product yet. We just finished the Kickstarter to start working on making this a beautiful thing. Like, we have the rules themselves are pretty much done. We have a couple edits to go back and do at this point before we get to let our layout designer, who's been chomping at the bit for months now to get his hands on this thing and start working on it. But the editing needs to finish first, and it's been a very fun and wild ride, especially watching what other people are doing with the system. There was another one where it was called Oops All Cryptids, and if I remember correctly, they were playing, Mothman and the Chupacabra, and those were the player characters, all right?
Yeah.
And it was, I think it was a murder mystery where they had to find out what happened to the Loch Ness Monster. They were finding their friend Nessie.
Aw.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome. Especially T loves cryptids. You said his like magic word.
Cryptids are fun.
They are.
T, we got to play this. We got to do a session. And we need Dennis to DM.
Twist my arm.
More TTRPGs? No.
I would love to create a game-breaking character that was not anticipated. That's... Oh, shucks.
I'm surprised that's only happened in Sagas once. It is kind of difficult to power game, and I think that presents a very it presents a very fun challenge for power gamers.
I talk a lot of shit. I don't min-max characters typically, but I looked at Sagas. That was my first thought was, I immediately went to anime worlds. I immediately went to superhero worlds because you have something agnostic like this system is. It's really allowing you to make more or less Dragon Ball characters for the power scaling brokenness system, because once you have the option to break out of the rule limitation when it comes to characters and power levels that you're going to witness, once you can start pulling from here and nabbing this and grabbing this and throwing that all together, that nonsense is what breaks games. And wow, you come up with ideas like Saitama being a character that's this broken One Punch Man that can nothing can stop him. He destroys everything. In systems like this, these things thrive and can exist in a way that would break and ruin other games for other players, because I don't want to use rules light because I feel like that's a large deterrent for a lot of people. But when you have a sandbox to really play in, especially for people who like to make things that nobody else has seen, just as I was scrolling through Sagas and looking at some of the traits, I was like, ooh, even if I just took a D100 and started rolling, like I want this trait and this trait and this trait, what can I create from this? Because the possibilities are truly infinite when you're not constricted to this race, this class is only allowed to have these things.
So, couple things. First, we did that. On Tabletop Tailspinners, we recorded a podcast where we literally rolled dice for every single like character building option. It was so much fun, and they ended up fighting a vampire who had control over a hydra on a pier that was part of an urban warfare battlefield.
Okay.
And it was insane. I know I said a couple things, but ADHD brain knocked the rest of those things out of the park, and I am not going to get them back.
I get that.
It's fine. No, this sounds like it would have been the perfect system. Before the campaign we're doing now, we did one with City of Mist, but we landed in that realm because we were looking for something just like this. Like, we wanted to bring all these pop culture references into a game. We thought that'd be super fun, but Sagas didn't exist yet.
No, it didn't.
Which immediately my brain went to, because the moment I backed this and started reading through things, what City of Mist was again crippled because of the system and what was allowed inside of it. Because the original inception of the game was the first homebrew game I tried running was I wanted pop culture, and because D&D was the only thing I played, I tried bringing pop culture into Dungeons and Dragons, which isn't popular. It's not a thing. You have people that have brought in characters into D&D and like kind of workshop them way into that. And I tried doing that. I was like, this just isn't working. Because the game I want to play is you walk into a library, some magic nonsense happens, and everything gets sucked into a single book. Anything that is in this library, whether it be a comic book, anything of the sorts now exists in this tale, and you and your friends need to get out of it. And we're talking, and the idea extends from is I want a character that has Captain America's shield, but is running around with Predator's mask, and I want him to have Superman's cape, and you have all of these things to make these obnoxious characters. that have no reason to work together, but because of the system in the world, you can make these obnoxious stories and tales together because it's intended to be satirical in the sense of anything is possible. And the moment I saw Sagas, I was like, it's that much closer to being reality.
Yeah. There's a lot of conversation to be had about games that, you know, Dungeons and Dragons does its thing. Like, it does high fantasy very well. That I will credit it for any day of the week. There's, you know, Call of Cthulhu does cosmic horror wonderfully. Cyberpunk literally invented and popularized its own genre, all right? But you can't like take Cyberpunk and make D&D rules do Cyberpunk. You can't take Call of Cthulhu and make it high fantasy. Like, that's like, you can, it just doesn't work well.
It just feels wrong.
Yeah, and it becomes very clunky. It's very difficult to design and homebrew in the first place. And what I wanted Sagas to be able to do is to be much more malleable. So you could stretch it and change the rules and make it so that it actually fits inside of these genres that you want to play in. And we have been, one of the behind the scenes things that's been going on is we are making little like 1-page optional rules lists for certain settings. I just the other day finished one for Jujutsu Kaisen. We've got a one-shot coming up on Just the Humans channel. And so we have like, it's literally 1 page of like, here's like some other optional rules that you can plop in, like some cool extra powers that you can get that are specific to this setting. And some other, you know, bending, like instead of doing this, you do this instead. And it's just a page long, laid it out, everything. It's after we play it, that's going to be totally free. And I'm just going to put it out there because, you know, I'm not about to sell something with an IP on it.
I was going to say, I don't think that's legal.
You about to get food real quick.
I made Sagas and then it disappeared so fast.
Done.
T, I think this really should be our next campaign. What do you say?
Twist my arm.
Yeah, because I want that book, like they were saying in the chat. It sounds like the never-ending story. I want that.
I have 3 campaigns that I've been bouncing between what I want to run next, and having an agnostic system makes that one kind of jump past everything else by a large margin.
Hell yeah. Look at this, Dennis. You are carving our content as we speak.
I have the power.
So one thing you said earlier when you're giving a brief breakdown was that it encourages co-op play. And you do better when you help your party do better. How does that work? That sounds something very special to this TTRPG that I haven't seen in other ones.
So the unique thing about Sagas that allows, I'm going to get into a little bit of the nitty gritty rules here, which is
go for it.
Not that nitty or gritty, but we're going to go there.
Rules.
You only have 2 variables to keep track of on your character sheet. 2 things that change. The first, obviously, health. You know, almost every TTRPG is going to have a health scale where you keep track of the damage you take and how much you heal and whatnot. But it also has effort, and this is essentially your short-term energy. It is the spell slots of D&D. It is mana. It is stamina. It is everything boiled down into one, consumable resource. And using this effort, you can use it in a ton of different ways. There's a bunch of, talents and powers that you can take, that you require you to spend this stuff to do the powerful, cool thing. But there are also things that anyone can do. And this is where the, teamwork aspect comes in, because one of the most common uses for effort is help. When you roll a check and you see that you are going to fail, because there's no modifiers in Sagas, so you roll the check, immediately know whether you succeed or fail. One of your teammates can say, I'm going to help, just with no action required, just in the heat of the moment, you spend 2 points of effort and you give them another die to roll, essentially.
Okay.
And you can do this for yourself as well, but it costs 3 effort. So it's more expensive to help yourself than it is to help others. And then there is the very, very similar mechanic called combo, where if someone is attacking, you declare that you're going to combo with them. You get to describe how you're doing it. Say the fighter is swinging a sword at the dragon and the wizard says, I'm going to combo, and lights the sword on fire or something like that. And if they hit, they do extra damage.
I love that, because that's why I like TTRPGs, is playing with friends and creating a story together. And I haven't been at that many tables, but there's moments like in our D&D campaign, it felt like we were all fighting separately. And just because like maybe I wasn't creative enough in the moment to think, okay, how can I help? And the rules don't just create a way to do that easily.
Well, and that's just kind of how D&D is, and really not even just D&D, a lot of TTRPGs. While it's a collaborative story, it's not always collaborative gameplay, because everything exists with so many rules. Even if you're the most creative person in the world, you're going to be restricted in what's allowed in the game, mechanically speaking. So when you have something like Sagas that comes along, it takes things like what Big Eyes Small Mouth wanted to do, which is intended to be like an anime-based TTRPG. But again, Big Eyes Small Mouth is also, again, so rules heavy. So it's so much more difficult to jump in and say, hey, I'm going to tag team or combo in with this action. And it just happens, which is such a big issue with all these rule heavy games, is that you want to do these things. And when it comes to a die being rolled, that's going to narratively dictate if that does or does not happen. It's and changing not only the tempo, but changing everything that is taking place in that moment in time to begin with. And so obviously I don't want to speak for Sagas. I've never played the game. I don't know how it was originally designed, but what I've read and how you've described it is it's intended to be a yes and schoolyard playground when it comes to these, because you're trying to make those scenes we create when we're kids and we're playing games with each other for the first time, and we're playing these nonsensical characters, and the stories and games and movies or TV shows that we're creating in our head while we're doing them, that we've all desperately wanted to see on a big screen in real life, but it's just not feasible. We can't get combined IP addresses. We can't get actors that are going to ever get schedules on time. When you have something like Sagas come around, we're like, yes, we're yes-anding to the point of making sure everybody's doing things and having fun. You're going to get those crazy fun moments that are going to be those key moments that people are talking about and sharing about and constantly remembering, because nobody's going to remember that time like, oh, I wanted to do this, but because I rolled poorly, it didn't happen. Sagas, you just get to do that. And that's going to be like, yes, I'm going to tell everybody about this tale. And you're creating your own canon for your own story that's going to not only exist with you, but exist with your others in a more consistent way that you're going to get with anything else.
Yes, and I mean, that is literally what I had in mind from like the get-go of like, you know, I wanted to, there's no game specific to, you know, this specific anime that I wanted to play. There's no game specific to, you know, this other very, very protected IP. You know, so we've played in Horizon Zero Dawn. We've played Pokemon Post-Apocalypse. That was one of my most favorite games.
Awesome.
You know, and one of the best things that Sagas does is not only being able to let you play in all of your favorite worlds that you've seen through video games and shows and movies and books, you can mix them together. And, you know, you can do like Superman meets Goku or whatever you want. Some of the best games that I've run have been multiversal, where, you know, several times during a session, we will switch universes, or like between sessions. I know Vampire Bites in chat was talking about one that we did called Oops All GMs. So everyone at the table was a game master. And at the end of the first session, the whole party gets sucked through a portal. And then the next session, there's a new game master. The old game master is now a player, and they start with this new world that they emerge into. And we did that several times. Yeah. Continually rotating who was running it and the world we were playing in. And so I got to play Ralph in several different flavors, from, you know, a mechanic at a spaceport to, and then the next one was like a fantasy one, and I played Little John from Robin Hood, and it's the same character, and I got to use the exact same mechanics. I just got to describe and reflavor the character how I wanted in that new world. I think our record for most worlds seen in a single session is 10, and that was so chaotic and fun.
My God.
Do you know the
Vampire
game?
Bites,
I'm sorry, go ahead, bud.
I just had a question, because Vampire Bites dropped something cool in the chat. It says, and when you do roll poorly, you get your effort back?
Yes. So that was one other thing that, like, one of my biggest inspirations for creating Sagas was I play a lot of D&D, so I'm going to take the things I don't like about D&D and make absolutely sure that Sagas does not replicate those. And one of the things I don't like about D&D is it sucks when you fail.
Yes.
Like, you don't get anything from it at all. Like, if, like, you know that, you know, you burn your 5th level spell slot on, you know, something with an attack roll and you miss. Nothing happens. It sucks. It's the worst. So what Sagas does is, and I kind of stole this a little bit from Powered by the Apocalypse, but what Sagas does is every single time you fail a check, you get 1 point of effort back. And that is the main way that you regenerate your, you know, effort.
Failing forward.
Every single time you fail, it's not a total loss. And
like learning
this
failure.
ends up being really, really fun when people are succeeding a lot, and, you know, they are spending all their effort, and they're like, okay, I need my effort back so I can do the things that I'm designed to do. So I'm going to try doing, like, go and make these ridiculous, useless, very difficult checks and try to fail. But what ends up happening more often than not is they end up succeeding at those checks, and then they get angry that they succeeded. Like, yes, you do manage to lift the boulder over your head. Now what?
I don't know. I didn't think I'd get this far.
Do you remember your question, T?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you've played the card game Super Fight.
I have.
And Sagas just very much so gives me that feeling of Super Fight, of, because every time I play, I pull these cards and I have whatever bullshit in your brain that you can't visualize things very well. However, I did a certain earth grown plant that is helping me bridge those gaps in my brain. So I'm starting to develop that ability, which is very awesome, because now when I play Super Fight, I get stupid shit like Chuck Norris has extra arms and is inside of a mech. And that's, as is, you can't play that design in any TTRPG anywhere, because there's too much nonsense going on. There's going to be too many rules that hinder that down, and it's going to water down into something where the character was never something that you had before. But when you have something like Sagas, you could just grab a deck and you're like, I don't know what I want to play. Just grab Super Fight and flip cards, and there's your fucking character. See?
Oh my God.
See?
Yes.
That would be amazing.
I'm just saying,
a kindergarten class armed with a fire hose of super glue.
Exactly. Just saying, when we do a collab together, I think that's the idea.
Oh, that would be so
yes,
cool.
Please? Yes, please. So you mentioned some influences you pulled into Sagas, like Powered by the Apocalypse. Were the other things that inspired it?
Yes. So obviously heavily D&D, you know, because that's the one I've been playing for a decade. I can't, you know, I'm not about to ignore everything I learned from playing that game. That would be dumb. because the D&D does do some things very well, like the check-based system. If you try to do something difficult, you roll dice and that tells you whether or not you succeeded or failed. That general concept I got from D&D. I don't know if it's where it originated, but that's where I got it. I also drew the effort, essentially, is from a very similar mechanic in EZD6, which is a obviously rules light game by Scotty DM, I believe. And essentially you use karma. So it's the same thing. You generate karma as you fail rolls, and you can use it to, boost your rolls later. And that's where I got the idea of effort. You have this pool of stuff, of like a resource that you can use that gets bigger when you fail and generates power for you to use later, so you don't fail as often if you've been failing a lot. And I think that's a really, really cool way of balancing it, and I liked it when I played it, so I stole it, broke it, and then put it into my game.
You just like taken all these machines apart and rebuilt.
Yeah, exactly.
This work of art. That's really cool. And the more you were talking about Sagas, and the more I'm understanding it, you mentioned Fate earlier. You're familiar with Fate Core. So then
I have not played Fate Core. I've downloaded Fate Light, and that's as far as I've gotten. I haven't actually read it.
Okay.
As I understand it, it is actually quite similar to Sagas, but almost entirely narrative. Is that right?
Yes, it sounds like, yes, it's very narrative, which is why I can GM it. It does have
rules.
rules.
Why I hate it, because it's so rules light, it doesn't make sense.
But that's my question is, from what you know about Fate, how does Sagas compare?
Sagas is Fate with rules.
So it could be actually perfect, T.
Listen, my brain hasn't stopped since this conversation has started. I'm going to need you to wrap this shit up. Not this particularly, but your story, we're done with it.
Oh, our campaign?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
the more I'm talking to
we're
Dennis,
so far away from being done.
I know, but the more I'm talking to Dennis, the more like, no, I want to move on to that book campaign, and I want to be able to pull super fight cards. Because that really was the dream. That's what we meant to do with City of Mist. It just didn't happen. It wasn't possible.
Again, and that's one of those things where, when it comes to TTRPGs, you're never gonna find exactly what you want. And so a lot of times once you become an experienced DM, you almost end up creating your own TTRPG unintentionally anytime you homebrew a game, because you start cherry picking the things that you want. Like when I played Dungeons and Dragons, one of my favorite, I'm sure it exists in a TTRPG somewhere, but like you pointed out earlier, like not being able to do something sucks. And as a spellcaster, outside of you being a warlock with Eldritch Blast, once you're out of spells, you're a useless character, no matter how much you try arguing that you're not. So I came up with a system where if you run out of spell slots, you can use your life force to continue to cast spells. It's just a mana pool from video games. And it's little things like that. Like there's no conceivable rule set that in Dungeons and Dragons that allows you to do some things like this. But because I was tired of seeing spellcasters staying at the table, and you don't do it on purpose, but once you start failing in a TTRPG, it feels like shit, and there's no way it doesn't impact your mood. So you're going to start slouching. You're going to start playing on your phone. You're going to start checking out, because once your character can no longer do its thing, you're useless, and now you're waiting 20 minutes for your turn to get back to you for you to fail again, and nobody likes that. So when you can start eliminating those moments in your game, you're going to get more people back at your table. You're going to get more play time. You're going to get more sessions because people are going to want to play more. And so and inevitably you just start cherry picking your way into whatever hodgepodge system that you're running. And again, I'm going to gas you up just because you're the guest on the channel, but Sagas is something that I've been looking for so fucking long, because you have so many ideas. You're like, okay, what am I willing to sacrifice to make this idea a reality? And I can walk through my house right now and find 15 different TTRPGs, but the games that I want to run don't slot into them at all. And you're right, there are other generic-based systems that you can play, but they're so generic that they don't have an identity to them that it feels wrong. I just read through Sagas while we were chatting before the show for 15 minutes, and it already has so much more life and identity to it than TTRPGs that have been backed by major publications for 10 plus years, because you can tell that they've been sold out and they're going to sell to the masses. I read Sagas. I was like, this is going to be something I'm going to happily not only own physically, I'm going to share to everybody. And it's going to exist in a place where I can feasibly grab and show off, because it's going to be my game system, because you took out all of the problems that a DM has of creating something out of nothing in a streamlined fashion for me. Like, oh, hey, this is what you want. Don't even have to pull some shit from the internet and be a thief. I've already.
T, you're making me cry.
And
That's what I'm here for.
He means every word. He's not a bullshitter.
I'm gaslighting you.
Really not. But in all of its positives, it sounds like it's got so many, and I honestly can't wait to play. Again, Vampire Bites brings up a great point. It says, Sagas is basically perfect. Well, it has a few quirks to iron out, but conceptually, yeah. What sort of quirks did you find when creating this game that you either ironed out or you feel like are the ones that you're hearing most about currently?
I think the biggest one is we did find a world, a genre that doesn't quite work. And yes, we're going to fix it because it's still in development and we can do that shit.
Right.
But, you know,
can you tell us what it is?
Yes, I can, and I will.
Okay.
But we had this challenge of like, I bet you can't find something that doesn't work. And that game that
That's
I
a great
mentioned,
challenge.
and people couldn't. And I was like, well, no, you could do that using these rules. Go look at them. And they were like, fuck, you can't. So like the one game where we ran 10 different worlds in a single session was one of the worlds that we ended up teleporting to was a hospital drama. We went from, you know, a solar punk academia, like in this super like green and perfect utopia high-tech structure in a library, and we got teleported to a modern hospital comedy dramedy. And I had to take that monster that they were fighting, which was supposed to be like this eldritch abomination, and put him in Scrubs.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a little mad right now because we have our question of the day is what fandom needs its own TTRPG, and I have been trying to figure out how the fuck you do a sitcom TTRPG. And
Done.
If you're telling me that you've already solved that problem, I personally, my ego is a little irate because I wanted to solve that problem, and now I can't.
Sorry, not sorry. And we went from the hospital drama immediately into steampunk slasher horror. And it was literally 2 different rounds of combat.
Oh my God. So what made that difficult at that moment of bringing it into the hospital dramedy?
It wasn't difficult. It was so fun and easy. And that's actually where the combat started. And the first like attack roll was a player talking to the eldritch abomination who they were working with. It was their coworker, and was like, you know, how are you feeling today? Are you all right? You've been a little down lately. And I'm like, damn, roll an attack.
Yeah, that would work. I'm not gonna lie.
It was so much fun, but there is one that didn't work and doesn't work with the currently publicly available version of the rules, and that is mechs. There's no good way to play where your character is a pilot.
Challenge accepted.
And you are piloting something else. Don't worry, we are right now planning on doing a whole supplement based on vehicles. And mechs are absolutely going to be in that, but there is going to be mech options as equipment in the final version for sure. So we're going to fix that. And it's a little bit scary that we did find something, because I know there is almost 100% chance that someone is going to find something that doesn't work after we've published it, and we can't go back and fix it.
The moment you make this subreddit, that's going to be the first
and
post.
I'm just like resigning myself to it now so I can deal with it when it comes.
That just means Sagas Edition 2. And
that's true. It does.
Rake it in. Another Kickstarter. No money, no problems. Like, because earlier when you were talking, I'm glad that you're fixing the mech problem, because when you're talking about all the worlds, I immediately thought, I want to run a Gundam. I want Gurren Lagann. I want to run Diva.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to be possible.
Fixing it.
What is... correct me if I'm wrong. Team Drew's basement is a mutual, or you not aware of Team Drew's basement?
No,
I know of Team Drew's basement. He's awesome. I actually saw him run a horror game over on the Red Hair Inn's YouTube Twitch channel like a year and a half ago or something, and that's where I found him.
Mm-hmm.
He has a 1980s or a 1990s Gundam TTRPG that I was supposed to run with him, and I can never remember the name of it. But he described it basically as Mass Effect meets Gundams. And I'm going to reach out. I don't remember. I'm terrible with names, and I could probably find it in our Instagram messages, but I'm going to reach out after the show to get that title from him again. Because if you... maybe you have the problem solved already, but I read through the rule set. It worked very well in a dated system, because like even the artwork you could tell was like 90s anime level artwork. Yeah. So we're talking probably older than I am, but outside of that, I don't know of another Gundam TTRPG that exists. So it might be a good support system while carving out this problem.
Yeah, good place to draw inspiration from when we're making the vehicle supplement for sure.
Thanks for the sub, Baron Brick Miser.
Hey.
So then, what is the end goal for you with Sagas? Like you talk about, you want to basically solve all the world's problems in one edition, and you pretty much have. So then, what's the goal at the end? I
guess the only thing left is that at this point, because I've checked off the boxes, I've made the game that I wanted to. We have funded the Kickstarter, and it's going to have gorgeous art in it. And I guess the last thing is to actually publish it. When I started designing this, I went into it with the mindset of, I don't actually expect to make any money off of this. And that's the mindset I'm continuing to have through development. Even after the Kickstarter, everything that we've developed is getting put back into Sagas. Like literally every cent that I can, I'm going to put towards making this game as good as we possibly can. And even in its final iteration, I am not going to be making money off the core rulebook. That is going to be pay what you want on DriveThruRPG. You know, you can send a couple bucks my way if you really like it, but this is not a project to make money. I'm doing this because I love doing it. And I think having that mindset is one of the things that has definitely kept me going and has made Sagas attractive to so many people.
It definitely opens up their avenue of trust in the sense of a lot of people push out TTRPGs all day, a lot of people create things endlessly and they get their cash grab and they get the fuck out. They made their money. They're not giving you updates. They're not giving you answers. For I think anybody that comes out with an idea and says, here it is for free because I'm in this for the long haul. And it might just me. I immediately trust those fuckers with my life.
And we have to be careful with throwing around the it's free idea, because a lot of things, like I do see a lot of free things, and it is a very common mindset of, oh, look, it's free means, oh, look, either it's shit, or two, they don't know the value of the thing that they're creating. And both of those are bad. But I think that
that's where marketing comes in.
If we were selling this, it would be around $15, $20. I mean, it's only a 50-page book, and that's it. So I know what it would be and how much we would sell it for if we wanted to, make a profit. But another one of the things that I wanted Sagas to be able to do is to be accessible, both through, a disability standpoint and through a financial standpoint. I want as many people to be able to enjoy this game as possible. And
I think that's why you're having the success that you have had and will continue to have. Because your heart's in the right place. You're doing it for the right reasons. You are a player. You're not just some outside person saying, oh, TTRPGs are popular, I'm going to jump in on that. And yeah, you know the struggles that all of us have had, and our goal is just to have a good time. And you're doing it, dude. You're doing it.
And that's my goal. I'm doing it. And I think another big part of that, mindset is I really, really enjoy the community around the game. Like, there's so many amazing people that have found and started playing Sagas. And obviously there's the Discord community. Like, we've got, 150 or so people in our Discord server. And it is so much fun to just look through and see what people are building. Because another thing that I mentioned in the elevator pitch and hasn't come up yet, Sagas includes basic rules for building your own stuff if we don't already have it. And we can get into that when we start in the final phase of our show tonight. But you can do anything. Just because it's not in the book doesn't mean you can't make it, and we provide guidelines for making it.
Okay, I'm so excited to get to that portion, because if you guys haven't already, make sure you use Command Sagas, or if you're listening back or watching back, go to the link below, go to all the things on this link tree, and pick up your own copy and start playing it, and make sure you tag OKSDM and let him be part of that journey with you, because there's nothing more rewarding than that. I'm just excited you're here, and I'm so glad this worked out to be able to have this conversation.
Scheduling is a bitch.
Facts.
Yeah. As TTRPG players, yes, we know. So, at the start of the stream, I mentioned that we're going to put these rules, quote, rules, to work. Let them hit the grindstone. And we're going to take characters that exist in our favorite fandoms, and feel free to shout out some too. I'll add it to our list. I've got a couple from earlier, but add to the list. And we're going to use the Sagas rules to create them so that we could start using them right now in game. You ready, Dennis?
I'm so ready. I've been looking forward to this since you mentioned it in the pre-stream.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to turn around so I'm actually looking at what we're seeing. Okay, great. I can see now. All right, so there's the logo. Go everywhere you see that logo. Follow it like breadcrumbs. Oh, good God.
Every time.
You're editing it. It's already perfect. What are you doing?
I wasn't trying to. I was trying to go to the next slide. All right, so we're going to start with Tanjiro from Demon Slayer.
Angelo!
So using the Saga's rules, what do we need to create him in real life?
All right. So to create a level 1 character, you need 2 traits, 2 struggles, 3 level 1 or rank 1 talents, and 2 pieces of equipment. You also get 2 health and 2 effort. Those are your maximum amounts at level 1.
Okay.
2 traits, 2 struggles.
Stay down here. Stay down here. Okay. 2 traits, 2 struggles.
Yep.
And that's it?
2 or 3 talents at rank 1.
Talents. And there's equipment.
2 pieces of equipment.
Okay.
And you also have 2 maximum health and 2 maximum effort.
Now, those all play out the same, like health and effort. They're not like customizable health.
When you level up, they are, but at level 1, you get 2 of each.
Okay. Okay. So what kind of traits do we need for Tanjiro?
So I'm looking through the list here, and I think keen sense, definitely you need. You need keen smell. That's like his thing, right? He's got an amazing nose. He can smell things from like a mile away.
Right. I'm gonna make this smaller. Okay. And these are traits that are already in the book.
Yeah, this is just what's already here.
Okay.
And what he gets from that is this is a roll low system. The base roll is a D10 if nothing applies. Keen sense allows him to use a D8 on checks that benefit from having a good nose.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I
like the roll low
what
system.
else?
I think weapon training is just right there, especially based between using the axe very early on to immediately picking up the sword.
We'll definitely
training.
get to weapon training, but that is a talent. That is something that he's going to be able to level up with him.
I was way too far down.
You're too excited, man.
I am too excited. That's on me.
So traits are essentially like things about your character that don't level up with you, like racial features.
Power affinity, it's pretty on the nose, but
yeah, he does level up very quickly in the powers that he's able to use. I think
if we want to be
as
smart at one, you could also go water breathing, and then you can manipulate that past what the rules as written.
I don't think he can though. There's
but that one you can go
underwater.
Rule of cool versus rule as written in the sense of the allowance of how you run said trait. But keeping it simple, you're right, that one doesn't make sense. I think power affinity's got to be the closest.
Yeah, I would agree.
And that's where you get like the elemental aspects to his attacks.
So I'll just read it out real quick. You have a natural ability to learn powers. To have the power affinity trait, you must also have the power attraction struggle. So that's going to be one of our struggles. Each rank you spend in a power counts as 2 ranks. If this increases the rank of a power above your level, you do not gain the benefit of that rank until you reach the appropriate level. So one of the things with sagas is your talents level up with you. Like you get to spend level up points in them, sort of like leveling trees in a video game. But you can't have a talent that is a rank higher than your level. So since we're at level 1, all of our talents are going to be rank 1.
Okay, that makes sense. But other like at level 2, you could get up to level 2 rank, but you don't have to.
Right.
So you can spend your ability points wherever you want.
Mm-hmm. You can increase the rank of one you already know, or you can learn something new.
I love a talent tree. Okay, so then you mentioned because he's got power affinity, then the struggle would be power attraction. What is that?
Since power affinity is so like mechanically powerful, we needed to have some way to nerf it, and that is through power attraction. Basically, anything that is considered a power that is being used against you, you are going to have to use a D12 to avoid it, which is bad.
Oh, it's like you just become almost like a goat attack.
Yeah, you're a lightning rod. The powers are going to hit you easier.
Interesting. Okay. Then what other kind of struggle does Tanjiro need?
I immediately went naive.
He is a little bit naive, isn't he?
Immediately with his sister, he's like, "Oh, you're a demon? No, it's fine. I can just trust that the only demon in this world that doesn't kill on sight to somebody they love just happens to be my sister. Everybody else has never had that same success rate. But me personally, it's fine. Trust me."
Yeah, naive is 100% a description of Tanjiro. All right, now on to the fun stuff, because this hasn't been fun yet, guys.
Okay.
So talents, these are the things that level up with you. You'll notice there are no races or classes in Sagas. It's literally a hodgepodge mix match of like pick and choose what you want your character to have. And for talents, obviously weapon training. We don't get anything for weapon training right away because, again, balance of the game.
You have to train with it.
Yeah, you do. Let's see. What sort of other talents would Tanjiro have? And these
tough,
are
maybe.
Talents.
He gets his ass beat a lot.
I was actually thinking he wouldn't be tough, because he does get his ass beat a lot.
That's a fair argument.
He breaks bones quite often.
True.
I would say fast reflexes.
I was just looking at that one.
Sure.
100% fast reflexes. This essentially, at rank 1 is what he has it at now. You may use a D8 for not from...
Sorry, you broke up just
2,
right there.
You may use... What's that?
You just broke up. Say that one more time. On the 1.
So I was just reading out fast reflexes. You may at rank 1, you may use a D8 for non-combat checks that benefit from a quick reaction time. At rank 2, you may use a D8 for reaction checks to determine turn order in combat, and that is how it's essentially your initiative order. Roll initiative in Sagas. It's roll a reaction check. So you're reacting to the beginning of combat. Who is going to react fastest and go first? So fast reflexes gives you a bonus to that once you hit rank 2.
I think your last one's parry and counter.
Oh. I where's the lie? Yeah,
just
absolutely.
like that we created it. That's cool. I love this system already. So then equipment obviously needs...
He needs a sword. And for that, we will have... And for those in chat looking right now, I know Vampire Bites has access, but we are using the currently publicly available version to build this, version 0.7.
Where does powers come into play? Is that a later level, or do we just not have that listed?
Powers are also talents. And so I think at level 1, Tanjiro doesn't know how to use his powers. Right?
Agreed.
Beginning of the story, he hasn't had any training yet.
Makes sense.
But then later,
look how easy you could answer that question. And now anybody could be like, I don't know how to play Sagas. You just come to this video and all your answers will be...
So then where do we find Demon Sister in box?
Oh, come on. Someone's going to want to play that as a player character. You got to let them.
If that's not a large shield, I don't know what is.
He would never.
And then for
What
health and
else does
effort,
he
those are
have
just
on him?
normal stats.
I think for sword, the actual one we would have would be weapon medium. So a medium weapon requires one hand to wield and can be used to attack a creature in melee.
Okay, so then you kind of class them, but then it's up to us. We can decide whatever it is.
Correct.
Yep. So weapon
So it
medium
just
can be
attacks
a
the rules
sword, a
system.
club, an axe, whatever you want.
Okay. Neat.
And so we don't have to go. We're done. Like this is our level 1 character. He's finished.
That's it?
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes TTRPGs can be that simple.
That's it?
That's the whole thing.
I kind of missed the hours of painstaking rolling and starting up an entire chain.
You don't even have to roll any dice in character creation.
I don't know. That alone might turn some people away, to be honest.
That's true. We haven't used that as a selling point, and for good reason.
That's probably best. We wait until they buy it, and they're like, haha, bitch, no dice rolling for you.
Ha 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 ha.
Pranked them.
So if we wanted to level this guy up, we would have, level him up to 2, we would have 2 rank points to spend in talents and powers, either to increase one of his existing talents, weapon training, fast reflexes, or parry and counter. Or we can say at level 2 is when he starts to learn his powers and give him like control water or something.
Okay. Is control water a thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
In your powers.
Control water is
It's
one of the powers. It's one of the first ones, I think.
It's just right there. That's awesome. You thought of everything.
And the other thing you get when you level up is you can increase either your maximum health or your maximum effort by 1. And that's the choice you have to make every single time you level up. And some people have gone like full bore either direction on this. So they're playing like a super high level character and they still only have 2 health.
Okay.
So you're just like the most powerful being in the universe at the time, but if someone farts on you, you're dead.
I'm getting the next one set because Vampire Bites suggested Harry Dresden.
Oh no, I don't know this one. I knew all the other ones you had queued up, but I don't know this one. All right.
I had to throw a
Google him quick.
Hardball at you. Yeah, so even somebody you're not familiar with does exist. It looks like it's in a book series. He's a wizard of some sort. Let's see.
So we'll read this out for people so they're not having to Google it. Harry Dresden, who's played, full name is Harry Blackstone Copperfield Dresden. That's a fucking fantastic character name for one. Is a human wizard with a talent for thaumaturgy, alchemy, and necromancy, working as a private investigator out of Chicago. He's the titular and viewpoint character of the Dresden Files series. As of Cold Days, he is 37 years old. So he's very much so similar to Constantine in the world of I wear trench coat, I cast magic.
So there was, I haven't read the books, so Vampy, you're going to have to help us out with his traits and struggles, because judging by the art, I think he's human, or at least human.
Yes, male human wizard.
Yeah, so the traits themselves are probably going to be sensory based because, you know, humans have in general pretty good eyes unless they, you know, wear glasses or they're blind or something. They could have, let's see, what else is there for traits? I keep scrolling past it. They could be particularly sure-footed, like they don't fall down when they're running. They could be soft-footed, particularly sneaky. They could be a small human. They could be a big human. I feel like this guy is kind of like generic white dude, though. So
Is cis white male an option? And so
no, because we're
traits are
boring
like-
as hell. And no one should play us in TTRPGs.
Because if you get too many of them in one group, then you just make a podcast.
Yeah.
Ooh.
No.
So then traits are basically like what is true about you, like almost like your race in a way.
Yeah.
Talents would be more what you're
Talents
able
are
to
the
do.
abilities you know, the things you've learned, the pieces of yourself, your skills that you can develop.
Judging by how he looks, I would say soul sucking. Because we're just assuming based off imagery.
Well, you
here.
did mention alchemy, necromancy, and something else, right?
Thaumaturgy.
Thaumaturgy.
Okay. So I'm going to say for talents, definitely raise monster. That's one of the powers in here.
Okay.
And I would also suggest, I believe explosives training is in here as well.
See, thaumaturgy also makes me think vocal mimicry would probably be a good one.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. And maybe
vocal
then
mimicry
can you,
would
like,
be
expand
a
it?
would be a trait.
Oh, okay.
I don't
We're
know
gonna get
who
rid
this
of
character is, but he is now on my book reading list for the year. So thanks for that,
I've heard the
Vampire
Dresden
Bite.
Files show up a lot.
I'm gonna be honest. At first, I thought it was Gambit. I was like, "That's not Gambit."
It kind of looks like him though. So where would you put like wizard, like the ability to do spells and that kind of thing in talents?
Powers underneath talents, just flavored
Just
as
pow-
magic.
Powers.
Well, no, it would be what magic you're doing. Powers are a type of talent. That's not clear in this version of the rules that we're looking at. That's just something we've developed later, organizational wise. But like, control water would be a power, or raise monster is a power. And these are all just different powers. Again, just a different kind of talent.
So to clarify, so what do you deem different between raise monster versus summon dragon, summon goblin, summon animal?
So those have actually been completely and totally reworked because the rules in here just were broken and horrible. So in current version, we actually have, actually, I'm gonna make sure I get this correct. I think one of the talents he would have, though, is explosives training, because it mentioned alchemist. I feel like this guy would throw bombs.
And what's this? Vampires says SCWM is a trait that removes struggles. What is that? What's SCWM?
I don't know. I don't know that acronym, Vampy.
Well, they've acronized your system beyond your recognition.
I know.
You've done
It's
it.
bound to happen
That's a
one
good
day.
sign.
Oh, straight cis white male.
Oh my god. That removes struggles. I thought you were being serious.
Well, there is. There literally is. One of the talents is remove struggle.
Which
Because
now you must
what is a
canonically
good
change
character?
to SCWM.
And like remove struggle is actually one of my favorite things in the game, and it's not one that I talk about a lot because I don't get to play in a lot of like long-term campaigns with sagas yet. But what is a good character without development and improving on what he's bad at? So I wanted to put that in there. I wanted there to be a way for you to get rid of the things you struggle with in life. So say you're an anarchist and it constantly gets in the party's way of like, yes, we need to talk to these guards. Stop trying to kill them. you can, like, the character can work on that, and slowly one of the talents they have is remove struggle. They slowly, you know, work on being less and less of an anarchist at the party's detriment. They no longer are forced to go against what the guard says. And that's just one example. You can remove any struggle as long as you have like a story reason to do it. And it can create some really, cool. really good storytelling at the table.
I like it. So then what would Harry Dresden's troubles be, Vampire?
I have no idea. That's a question for Vampire.
Question.
I don't know. I like how simple character creation is, because even if you're not great at character creation, nothing is literally stopping you from, like you said, you've done in the past. You just roll a die and see what comes out, which for somebody like myself who has made thousands of characters that will never see the light of day, it comes to a point where, yeah, you do want to randomize you playing a piece of bread that's controlled by Mage Hand. You get to a point as a player that's where you're at. And just, you could come up with some very, very fun concepts just reading through these various things for, I'm just going to roll to see the outcome, and you're going to find something either comical or something that you're going to be able to connect with, create in just such a simple manner. And I like the fact that you close your eyes, drop a finger, put it on the sheet, and you're just good to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm adding these because Vampire said so. Arrogant and prominent. Those are Harry's struggles.
Arrogant is you cannot make checks to determine your chance of failure. Like, you just straight up can't.
Like, overly confident.
And prominent is you have difficult. You have to roll a d12 when you are near people, because you stand out in comparison to everyone around you.
Oh, okay. I can just see how all of these would just mix together to create almost a story in and of themselves, let alone what you're doing.
There's so many little tiny hooks for this.
I love it. All right, let's end on one that we all know.
Ash is for sure lucky.
And I think we'll start out here in talents, because I wanted to go over the summoning creatures that we've reworked. We've reworked it into 3 different abilities. The first is summon tough creature. Then there's also summon fast creature, and then there's summon vicious creature. And each of these do essentially the same thing. They summon a creature, summon a fast one, a tough one, or a vicious one. And the fast one's going to be faster than the rest. The tough one's going to be able to take more damage. The vicious one is going to be better at attacking and hitting things. And that's it.
So I just put summoning fast creature because duh.
Yep.
Well,
I think you would have all 3. I mean, if I was making a Pokemon trainer, I would say you would be able to summon all these creatures. You have more than one Pokemon at your disposal.
All right. So that's just what you do. You summon them all. You got to catch them all. That cool. Vicious.
Summon vicious creature.
Got it. Okay. So what are Ash's traits?
For sure lucky.
Oh yeah.
What is lucky?
100%. Everything always goes his way.
You don't get all 3 starters. You don't get every legendary without being lucky. That's just, it is what it is.
That's how it goes.
Is eternally youthful on that list?
I was looking for it. There is not, but this is where we're going to make it.
To create your own trait.
Create your own trait. Let's see. And since we're doing this the hard way, quote unquote hard way, everything in this game is easy. We will do it with the new version of the rules. So I will read out what the guidelines are for it. So creating your own trait. A trait must be a static feature of a character, not something that can be improved. So forever youthful, immortality. Yeah, that checks. A trait must give a player character a passive ability or allow a D8 on checks that benefit from the feature. This definitely applies there.
Yeah.
A trait cannot have limited uses. Yeah, it's always on.
Cool.
A trait must not allow checks to be made with a D6 because that's the lowest in the game and you won't get access to that until higher levels. And if you make a trait that is more powerful than other traits, consider how the people and societies in the game's world would react and develop knowing such a trait exists. So that doesn't apply to this one because nobody in the Pokemon universe has realized that Ash is immortal.
Or has infinite strength.
So I don't think we'll be able to follow that guideline, but that's totally fine. So yeah, Eternally Young. Done.
Done. Okay, so what sort of struggles
Struggles
does Ash have?
Naive. Absolutely.
Does arrogance play into this?
Yeah, both naive and arrogant. 100%.
Some sort of memory issues.
Their poor memory is also on there.
He never uses his good Pokemon. That's fucking accurate.
That's arrogant.
He doesn't.
I don't need my legendary that I've got in this ball. I'm going to send out the one I just captured. Yeah. My new Pidgey. And then equipment. Balls.
Yeah, I would probably make new equipment for this one. I would probably say he has a healing device, which is something that can, heal his Pokemon. Give him a quick little antidote or a potion.
Is that kind of tied? Like, do the creatures that you summon have their own health? And
yeah,
like, do they automatically heal when they go back to where they came from?
Let me real quick browse over the rules for it specifically. They're all very similar, so I'm just going to read one. Okay. Summon Vicious Creature. Summons a high attack creature. Rank 1. By spending 2 effort, as your action, you can summon a small creature. The creature is an NPC that appears at a point you choose in close range and takes its turn immediately after yours. It disappears when it reaches 0 health, after 1 minute, or if you summon another creature, whichever comes first. And then there's more, but that answered your question.
Yeah. Interesting. So, of course, once it knocks out, it returns. That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, would you primarily play this game with, like, the theater of the mind, or does spacing come into play prominently?
I usually do theater of the mind, but spacing does come into play because, different weapons are going to have different ranges. And how we do that is we use zones. I know, T, you mentioned earlier, I don't remember if it was pre-stream or after we were live, but this is the most common way to do zones here is using hexes, but it's not 5-foot hexes. It is 15 to 20-foot hexes, and there's several creatures can fit inside each zone. So if you're in the same zone as a creature, you're in melee with them. If you're in an adjacent zone, you're in close range. If there's a zone between you, that's mid-range. If there's 2 zones between you, that's long range. And then it changes when large creatures are involved, because you can technically be in the same zone, but you're not going to have much space to swing your sword. So if you're in an adjacent zone from a large creature, you're considered in melee, and both you and that creature can hit each other.
Oh, okay.
So
I could
movement is very, very easy. There's no more count 6 squares to figure out exactly how you're going to move your piece. You're not playing chess or checkers here. You are saying, I'm moving one zone. Now I'm done.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so as long as you kind of had a basic idea, a shared idea with theater of the mind, then that would be pretty easy. But
yeah,
this makes me still want to play on a table.
You totally can, and we have.
All right, Ash needs one more piece of equipment, because ball seems redundant if you can summon each of these. Like maybe for
communication
narrative
device is probably a good one.
Oh yeah, here you go.
He does have a phone
call mom and
in
wire money.
Gen 3 and later? Maybe no, Gen 2. Gen 2 he got the you can make friends with other trainers and they call you and say, "Hey, what's up?"
Oh yeah.
And then that's the end.
Or where would a Pokédex fall into this?
We'd probably make that. There are rules for making additional equipment. Let's see. Oh, nope, that's monsters. Let's see. Creating equipment. The equipment must assist in some type of check or allow a unique check or action that wouldn't normally be allowed, like looking behind you without turning around or healing without resting. The equipment must be classified as powered if it doesn't commonly exist in our world today or in the past. Unpowered equipment cannot allow D6s to be used. If the equipment allows a D6, it should be categorized as advanced. And advanced just means you can't have it at level 1.
Okay.
So a Pokédex would, I think, just be like a normal piece of equipment because it's standard for this world and it's not inconceivable for it to exist in this world too. It's like just like a cell phone that tells you what animals and plants are. You know, that that app 100% exists.
Relatively
and
easy too.
I wonder if there would be some sort of advantage in the future, like once you come across something, then you could summon it, but only after you come across it.
Or once you come across something, you immediately know all of its weaknesses and strengths.
Yeah. That's cool. T, can we start playing now?
That's up to you, bud.
Everyone's going to get a TPK next campaign. Don't tell the others.
Sorry, guys, it happens. But hey, T's got something in store already.
You're going to love it. You're going to love it. I mean,
Actually,
so sad. I'm so sad.
You mentioned TPK. There are a couple of things that I did want to tell you guys about if this game wasn't fucking cool enough.
Okay.
So first, it is super easy to run because monsters don't make rolls.
Huh?
When a monster attacks a player character, the player character rolls to avoid. And this makes it, one, a lot easier for the game master to run the monster. They just have like a series of numbers that say what difficulty this roll is going to be. And a second thing that is ADHD brain yet again made go away. Avoid checks is another opportunity. So if you get hit with an attack, that is a failed check and you gain 1 effort back. So even when you take damage, it's not an entire loss.
Oh, cool. Because right now, with level 1, you just start with 2 and 2 health and 2 effort, which seems super weak.
Yep. Most attacks in Sagas just do 1 damage. Like that's the static. If you hit, you deal 1 damage. If you roll a 1 and get a crit, that's another damage on top of that. So that's 2 damage. If you had someone comboing with you, that would be another damage. So say you get 1 damage for the crit, 1 damage for the normal hit, and 1 damage from your ally who comboed with you. That's 3 points of damage in that 1 hit. And that's like, I think the highest I've seen across all games that I've played is 5. And that is a very rare occurrence.
You heard it here, folks. That's the number we got to beat.
It's
Do I hear
100%
six?
possible to go over 5. It's just risky because at that point everyone's stacking combos on top of this one attack, and if it misses, all that effort vanishes and
Gotta
is
risk it to
useless.
get the biscuit.
But
Risk
if
it for the
you-
biscuit.
If you failed, then you get 1 back.
Yeah, the attacker would still get 1 effort back.
See, you're not telling me not to do this. That's just saying statistically, go for it.
Statistically, you must go for it and continue going for it until the other thing that I wanted to mention, they seem weak, and you know what? At level 1, you're weak. It's gonna be easy to get dropped to 0 health. Then what? Well, then you get a chance to experience my #1 favorite thing in all of Sagas, and that is the death and dying mechanics. So when you get dropped to 0 health, you have a choice to make. You can either go unconscious, which is exactly what it sounds like. You know, you you can't take turns, you can still be healed and come back up, you won't necessarily die unless you continue to take damage while you're down. There is one drawback to going unconscious, and that is if you hit 0 and go unconscious, you will end up with the wound life-threatening injury. And that is something that is very difficult to heal. It's going to take you several rests to get rid of that. And it's very detrimental. Like, dropping to 0 should have consequences. It should have, like, story consequences.
Does that affect, like, the amount of effort you're able to have, or does it...
It's in the newer version of the rules. And it's not in the version we're looking at right now, but if I remember correctly, it takes 3 rests to heal completely, and all checks must use D12s. So basically, you just don't get bonuses on anything you're good at.
Okay.
It's super detrimental.
What happens if you go unconscious, and then what were the other 2 options?
There's one other option, and that is you can choose to take your last stand. In exchange for a huge power boost, you resign yourself to death. Essentially, your character will die, but they get this epic blaze of glory that they get to go out in.
Adore that.
Nice. Because that always feels bad if you just get taken out and it's not even a cool death.
The minion's stray arrow hit you in the shoulder and brought you to 0, and then you failed all your saves. Oh no.
Cool, guys. I'm gonna go home.
No, that's a great mechanic. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, and it's really, really good for, like, one-shots because, you're only going to play this character once.
Right.
And it's led to some really, really cool moments in the games we've played. Asterix C Pokepocalypse, which I mentioned before. That was one of our streamed games and probably one of my favorite. Just the cast was fantastic. You can find it on my YouTube channel, OKSDM.
Oh, good. That was my next question. It's like, where can I watch this?
It's there. It's one of the older ones, but it's 100% there, and it does not end how you would expect.
Great. I know what I'm watching while working tomorrow. Well, dude, this has been so much fun.
Yes, it has.
Just in interest of time and respect of your time, we'll wrap it up here. And I know T and I could both be asking like questions all night long, but I think we're just gonna have to read through your very short rule set and pick up a game. And one day I would love to have you DM Sagas for us, the originator, and I think it needs to be on the TTRPG project.
Oh, that would be not even a question.
I'd be so down once we find the time. But scheduling is the true BBEG.
Time schmime. Time's a weird soup. It'll be fine.
Who needs sleep? What is unconsciousness?
But you guys, if you haven't already, please use Command Sagas. Go find the link below. Go love on this stuff. Go pick up your own copy. Donate, 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 so that he can continue doing this, because he's not in it for the money. He's just here for the good time. And that deserves all the monies. The people with the right hearts deserve it the most. I'm seriously so excited. I usually gloss over whenever I start talking about rule sets sometimes, because I just haven't been in it as long, and I haven't GM'd as long or DM'd. And so I just can't fathom the possibilities, can't connect the dots. That's not true with Sagas. Tonight, I got so excited, and I'm seeing how easy it is. And now I just want to see what kind of things I can create and what kinds of things I can pull from my favorite fandoms and match them with your rules. I want to play the new campaign.
We need like in post, can you put like a counter for how many times you've said that?
Ding! That requires editing, silly goose.
Oh, that's true. I hate editing. I really don't like it.
That's the big bad right there. But you guys, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to keep this energy going at a raid. So if you have a suggestion, feel free to drop it below. Otherwise, T or Dennis, do you have a suggestion where you want to shed the love?
I do. There's an itty bitty channel who I actually sponsored to run a long-term game of Sagas, like 2 years. They are called Random Rhapsody. They've got 1 viewer right now, and they are playing a Sagas one-shot called Dance with Dragons. I have no idea what it's about.
That sounds perfect. So stick around for the raid and take this great love for Sagas into an actual play going on right now, which, God, how cool. How cool it's happening. It's happening. And then make sure you come back next week, because if you love TTRPGs, next week we're actually geeking out with another creator, especially for the little ones, called TTRPG Kids. And it takes all the amazing things of TTRPGs and makes it accessible so that we can indoctrinate them early.
This is not
and both these great suggestions, Dennis and TTRPG Kids, came from Britt, O'Shine Brighter, as you might know her, on a stream with both of them a couple weeks ago. And she's like, Boser, you got to get these people on because they're too cool. And I said, yes, ma'am. I can follow orders. And she was not wrong. But until next time, I am Boser.
I'm T.
I'm Dennis.
And you just keep
geeking out.
Geeking out.
Bye.
Bye-bye.